Good morning, welcome back to Breakfast Television. Every parent knows that a car seat or booster is essential to keep their child safe, but are you using the right one for your kids, and are you using it in the right way? Here to help us with that is Raymond O joining us from MPI. Raymond, we're going to skip the first couple stages. We're going to skip the baby carrier and jump right into the first time my child is forward facing. When does my kid graduate to forward facing?
Well, your child would transition into the forward facing car seat once they've exceeded or reach the weight limit of the rear-facing car seat that they have.
So where do we max out?
So in some cases it could be up to 30, 35 pounds. And then once they've reached the weight and height limit, they can transition into the forward-facing car seat. So
now their body is big enough and strong enough that they can now move into the forward-facing.
Correct.
And this one has a lot like I did with my rear-facing. It has my 5-point harness, which is essential for my youngster.
Yeah, most definitely. When we're looking at the fit, the important thing is that the harness strap should be flat. Chest clip is at the elbow, armpit height.
Okay.
Shoulder straps are very important. It's got to be at the shoulder and above. Right. A little bit of slack in case of a sudden stop.
Let me ask you about that slack, because we're told as parents to test it and check it. How tight should this be?
Okay, actually it should be quite tight.
Okay.
The spacing between the harness straps and the child's body should be about 1 finger of spacing at the chest.
That's it?
Yep.
That's very snug.
Yeah, but we want to make sure that the child doesn't slide out in the event of a sudden stop or in the event of a worst case scenario if there is a crash.
Right, because not only does it have to be in the right place, but it has to be in right place the entire drive. I got a long trip to grandma's and a wiggly kid or a kid who falls asleep. That can change if my kid's a little too loose in there.
That is correct, most definitely.
All right, so we get them in there safe. They've got their 5-point harness, and then they graduate to booster seats. When do we move them up from 5-point harness to booster seat?
What parents should be looking at is checking the weight specifications of the car seat that they've got.
Okay.
Forward facing, it'll have the weight in their manual.
Yep.
And also on the side of the car seat.
Yep.
So specify once your child again reaches that maximum height and weight, they can look at transitioning into the booster seat.
And that can vary considerably depending on the manufacturer and how it's designed.
Yeah.
So I go with what they recommend to the maximum as far as I can, right? I want to keep them in this for as long as possible.
That's the strategy, most definitely. Yeah.
Because of the 5-point system, is that why I want them in that one as long as possible?
Yeah, for safety. Because even though if we look at them when they were infants and toddlers,
right, they
are stronger, but they're still children. And so what we do know is that kids are more vulnerable to be injured or killed in a motor vehicle crash. So safety is the key point. 5-point harness is the best way to go.
So we keep them in there as long as possible, and then when they do finally graduate into a booster, we've got 2 different ones. What's the essential difference between just the bottom and having the back on it?
Key determinant is the vehicle seat in the back, where there is sufficient head restraint to protect the back of the child's head.
Okay.
If the child's sitting in the booster seat and the mid part of their ear is above the headrest,
right,
we should look at a high back. Because
we want, again, gosh forbid, there's an impact, we want their head to go back into something.
Correct.
Okay, so we want
to protect the back of the head. If there isn't, in the event of a crash, the child will move forward and whip back, so there's that whiplash concern.
Okay, so we make sure that this thing's high enough, and then we want to make sure that the seatbelt goes where the seatbelt was designed to go, and that's what a booster seat does, right?
Yes. A lot of the kids that are in that 4 to 9-year-old age group have a higher injury rate on a per 100 basis in comparison to a lot of the younger kids. And what's happening is a lot of the kids are transitioned from, let's say, a forward-facing car seat into a regular seat belt. Unfortunately, the seat belt isn't designed for children. So what happens is that a lot of the kids will be sitting in the back seat, the shoulder strap will sit high across their neck, the lap belt portion will sit across their stomach, which isn't a good thing.
Okay.
If we look at it from a crash situation, that soft tissue area, they're vulnerable to be injured.
So we want the shoulder belt to come across the shoulder.
Correct.
And the lap belt to come across the lap, and that's what Booster does. Booster moves them into the place so that the seatbelt can do its job.
Exactly. So with the booster seat, it'll ensure that the seatbelt comes over the shoulder, across the hard part of the chest, and that the lap belt sits snug across the hips.
Because we want them to be safe no matter what, and you want to make sure that you've got the right seat, the right booster, or the right carrier for your child. If you want some information and you want to make sure you're doing it right, just hit breakfasttelevision.ca, click on the link, and you'll find all the links to MPI and all the information the parents need. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much for having me.
We're going to take a break. There's still plenty to come today on BT.
Come on now, get going.